Alright, today's topic on xcannabis.com is taxing the rich. This is a cost-benefit analysis of our desire in this country to tax the rich more than we do now. Is it going to benefit society? Is it going to, go to the right places when we do tax them? How is this going to benefit the lower classes of the tax or of the income brackets in this country? It is not, in my opinion, a good idea to tax the rich more. In fact, I don't believe taxing people more in general is a good idea because we don't spend our money in the right places. Obviously, we spend a lot of money on wars and, social endeavors that make little or no difference or make things worse for a matter of principle. And because this is the cannabis blog, prohibition has only cost us money and has not saved society any troubles. In fact, it has made more troubles. And we spend trillions on that. We have spent trillions on that. And we will spend trillions more until we end this war. So, no, I don't think regulations are the best way to approach it. Here's the numbers. The wealthiest 1% of the population earn 19% of the income, but pay 37% of the total accumulated income tax. The top 10% pay 68% of the tab. Meanwhile, the bottom 50%, those below the median income level, now earn 13% of the income, but pay just 3% of the taxes. It's not fair for the wealthy people to pay for our tax burden. And so therefore, they send our jobs, and they take their income, and they go elsewhere with it. And that's a problem for the entire population. When we see our jobs going to India, in fact, even Ireland, and Malaysia and different places, we see a lot of jobs going overseas and south of our border, into South America with this new SAFTA agreement and all this other crap that they've proposed. The problem isn't that we aren't taxing the rich enough. Problem is that we aren't taxing the right things. We don't want to discourage the rich from doing business in the United States. That's the worst thing we could do. That's the absolute worst thing we could do. What we need, for example, if we think we make all that much difference in the 99% that we're talking about here, if we're all that much of a difference, if we are the majority, and we, have this much say in what goes on, especially tax-wise. If we think our tax burden is so great and so improportionate, then a fair tax would allow us to protest things that we don't agree with. For example, wars. If we don't like the war in Iraq, and if we believe, despite the facts, if we believe that our contribution to the taxes in this country are so significant, then what we do is we just stop buying things. We stop consuming. We start making our own clothes. We start growing our own food. We start building our own houses. We start producing our own commodities. And we stop consuming. We stop buying things. You see, that's what we would do if we wanted to protest, right? So I think that a fair tax, one of these flat tax rates that everybody gets taxed on what they buy rather than what they earn, I think that would be a much more fair approach to the tax problem that we have in this country. So if the rich are buying $50 million houses and, $2 million yachts, well, then we charge 30% as a flat tax rate or whatever they're proposing, and everybody pays that burden. There isn't one person paying more, another person paying less, of a burden, of a percentage. We all pay the same rate, the flat rate. Then the rich pay for all the stuff they buy and consume, whether they buy it in the United States or whether they buy it somewhere else. We, charge a fee either through customs or through our local tax system for consumption. And then that generates the money, the income tax money that we used to generate for income taxes, and we just put it out, we spread it out more fairly. That's what I think. But listen to the numbers here. I am in a tax bracket higher than I was I've went up 3 tax brackets in my life, and I pay a lot more than a lot of the people that I hear complaining about. Oh, the rich pay too much, the rich pay too much. Bullshit. I'm tired of hearing that. But listen to this. If you make $0 to $8,500 a year, you only pay 10% taxes, federal income tax. If you make $8,500 to $34,500 a year, you pay 15%. If you make $34,500 to $83,600, you pay 25%. If you make $83,600 to $174,400, you pay 28%. If you pay $174,400 to $379,50, $150 that is, $379,150, then you pay 33%. If you pay over $379,150, you pay 35% of your income. So how is that bad to, how is that negative for the lower classes? Looks to me like the higher classes, no matter what, are paying more taxes on their income than we pay. And say, you're paying your 10% of your $8,500, well, then you're paying $85 or $850 in taxes, and the guy who's making $379,150, let's see, what is that? 35 times 379, 150 equals. He's paying like $131,000 of his income compared to your $850. All right, so I mean, it's good that they make more money because they pay a lot more. They pay a lot more towards all these social services that everybody wants. I'm not laughing because people make a little bit of money and pay a little bit of money in taxes. I'm laughing because a lot of these people complaining that the rich aren't paying enough, they're getting the most benefits from the rich's taxes. With housing, with social, welfare and different things that we have, whether it be government-assisted housing, welfare checks, food stamps, Medicaid or Medicare or whatever. All these different social services aren't being paid by the lower, 50% of the class tax or the income bracket. It's being paid mostly by the top 10%. In fact, it's being paid mostly by the top 5%. This article that I read is from the American magazine, and you can go to American.com and look this up. And it shows how disproportionate the tax is in this country, and even under capital gains taxes, even the lower classes of people own these stocks which the capital gains taxes are being paid on. It shows that 52% of Americans own stock, and so the lower capital gains taxes are being attributed to everybody, and everybody's benefiting. Well, not necessarily everybody, but in all spectrums of the income levels, it is benefiting people. And this also promotes the market. This all helps our net value increase. And it also helps our net value increase to keep jobs in America rather than sending them to India. So we need to tax the rich fairly, not more, but fairly. And to fix this, like I said, we need the fair tax, the flat tax, I think, the consumable tax. I also think we need to end the Federal Reserve so they're not losing our money or giving corporate welfare out. That's one problem with the rich, is they get corporate welfare. Well, we get welfare, the lower classes get welfare. Well, the corporations want their welfare too. Fair is fair, right? Well, it sucks. I don't like socialism. I'm not into welfare. I think that it's a sham. I think that our country has gone downhill since we've introduced socialism into our country. Before we introduced socialism in our country in the 1910s, we had a stronger society. After we started depending on the government for everything, we stopped depending on ourselves, so much, and now we have a weaker country. I think that's obvious. I don't think there's any doubt there. But, okay, so we end the Federal Reserve so that, first of all, they can't just give money to banks all over the world like they've been doing and lose trillions of dollars with no accountability. Secondly, we need to implement some sort of national referendum. Even Australia and New Zealand have national referendums where the people can say, listen, we're voting against what you just passed, what you just did in the government. And they're able to do that on a federal level. We can do that on state levels. There's 24 states in the United States that can do that on a state level. We don't have any way to redress those grievances with our government on a federal level except through our representative government, which is bought out by campaign contributions through these big corporations and lobbyists. Lobbyists are really a big problem. If we implemented what Ralph Nader and Mike Gravel are proposing, the National Initiative for Democracy, the National Initiative for Democracy gives us national referendum and a national initiative process. That would allow us to, repeal the Patriot Act or repeal these corporate bailouts or repeal this or repeal that. But without a national initiative process, we just have to take what they give us or what they don't give us. And we have no retribution. We have no way to redress that. And that's not good for anybody. At least in our society as a whole, the 99%, when we don't have a way to redress our grievances on a federal level, then the 99% are in a bad situation. And so I support the National Initiative for Democracy, and you can learn more about it at vote.org. I don't believe in taxing the rich more. I don't believe in corporate welfare. I don't believe in socialism. I believe in libertarianism. And libertarianism will fix this country, and that's another reason why I'm voting for Ron Paul. So that's my estimation on the problem, and that's my solution. Thanks for watching.